All right, today we're gonna keep looking into this Rust with HTMX stack, and let's try to run it again. And I forget what the port is. So we go here, we say localhost 8080. We have our app here, we can go to the words and it will show us word pairs. But one thing we cannot do here is create new word pairs. So that's what we're going to look at today, namely hooking up a database, which is something you need for many things. And I looked into a couple of frameworks and we'll try out this Diesel, which is an ORM and query builder. So you can use libraries that basically let you just write SQL against the database. But if you have an ORM, you can kind of like define the types that should define the tables in the database and do queries against that. So it has like a level of type checking against the queries you can do and how the database is structured. So that's quite useful. So let's try to set this up. So we need another dependency, which is Diesel, and we'll just follow more or less along with the tutorial here. We're going to use Postgres. I tried to get the others to work. I tried to get MySQL or SQLite to work, but it just didn't. Just couldn't get it to work. So let's try. That's not wrong. That's not right. This is right. Let's try to install this, and we'll see if it works. Okay, so as you can see, it didn't work. And last time I installed it, I had to do this. Command that they suggest here. All right, and that worked. So now we have Diesel set up. Let's let us try to set up a Postgres user. So I won't really go over how to install Postgres, but assuming you have it installed, I think we can do something like, forget exactly what it is. I think it's like this. So that didn't work. Let me look it up. Okay, so here we are. We want to create a user that has the permissions to create a database as well. So I think let's try this one. So we want to do this one. So let's try to log on to the Postgres user first. Right. Okay, give me a second. Okay, so I just created a user with the username Rust+HTMX and password test. So let's say you were installing this on a private server. You would create a user for your application, I suppose, and I created one that was a super user. So what I did was first I logged in, and then I ran this one, create user -s, and also -- password prompt, so I can put in the password. And let me put this one in here, because set up Postgres user. You can put it in the description of the video. So anyway, now we have that set up. Now we'll put this stuff into the environment file. So our user that we just set up is Rust+HTMX, and the password is test. And the app is also called Rust+HTMX. So I guess we do it like this. So now we have an environment file that just has this thing. Now we can run diesel setup. And I think that created a couple of things. It created a migrations folder. It created this TOML file, which has not too many things in it. And I believe it also created, it did not, okay, create that. So we have to do that ourselves. Okay. So what you do with these ORM tools is every time you update how the database looks, like you add new tables or whatever, or you remove tables or you add columns or whatever, you run a so-called migration. So we can generate an empty migration doing the following, and this one we'll just call I don't know, we'll call it initial setup. So now we have inside, if I go ahead and open up the migrations folder, we have this thing, which has an up, which is how you go from the old version to the new version, so upgrade, and you have a down, which is downgrade. So we need to make some SQL query that will create the new table we want. So what is actually the table we want? Well, we said that we want to be able to create these word pairs. So let's for now just make a struct like this, word pair, and it should have some kind of ID. Let's just leave it as U16 for now. It should have one word, which we can put as a string, and the second word, which is also string. Instead of calling these word 1 and word 2, how about we call them Spanish word and English word. So now we need to create an SQL query that makes this word pair. So we can do create table word pairs, and we need an ID, which is an integer, and in Postgres variant of SQL, you don't write integer, you write serial, and that ID is the primary key in the table. So there's a lot of stuff about how tables work here that I won't really go over. So I just hope it sort of makes sense. You can always Google it. So now we have an SQL query to create the table. Now we need one to remove it, because there you always have this pair of, so this file should undo anything in up.sql. So here we're creating a table, so it's quite easy. We can just drop the table. That will undo it. And now we can try to apply the migration with this tool. So that should access the database, and there's a syntax error. Probably we cannot have this trailing comma, and now it ran the migration. And then they say it's a good idea to try to redo it, which undoes the migration, then it reapplies it, but whatever. So now it has created this file schema that we didn't have before. and it defines a table that we can use in our Rust code that takes an integer and some text. So now we need to write some code to actually access it. Let me have a look at the models first, because we already wrote something ourselves. Let's try to actually fix that up. So the ID here is apparently a signed integer, and we need to include a little bit of stuff here. We need to include, to make it queryable and selectable, and table name. We look in this schema, which doesn't have the underscore, because why not? And this check for backend just does some type checking at compile time. And here we're using Postgres, so we have the PG. So I should also add, just so I don't forget, ORM create. And then I will just add this stuff here. Right, so we have these like derives, and we should go in here and we should say this models is actually a part of our crate. And what is the problem? Who knows? Okay, but anyway, we need to also add the schema, I guess. Okay, so now it seems to work. I still haven't fixed this proc macro error. I will do that sometime, I'm sure. So what should we do next? Let's write this thing to get a connection. Let's do that. Let's actually close the application here. I'll stop it from running. So let's make a file called database, and I'm actually just gonna copy this stuff because it's not that interesting. So we use it, import a bunch of stuff, and to establish a connection, I'm not sure what this does, honestly. I suppose it like runs the environment file, so we have access to this database URL, and then you call this establish function on this module, and then that returns something that we can use to get data and so on. So let's save that, and let's put it in here, and we call it database. So anyway, now let's write this function that just goes into the database and tries to print everything we have. So let's make a new directory, and we'll call it show pairs. So super like parallel to whatever we have here. So let's get the models. Let's get this thing, and I don't know why they use self here and they use crate here, but it is what it is. So with this line, it gives us access to the fields in here, so we can, instead of writing like word pairs.Spanish word and so on, we can just write Spanish word. So now we need to get a connection, and then we need to get stuff from the database. So we just say word pairs, which is referring to this thing, and I'm kind of regretting it's not word underscore pairs, but it is what it is. So over here they have a filter, they have something called published, but we don't really care about that. Let's say we have a limit of 100, and we will select it as, and now we have to look at our model. So we have to select word pair as select. Then we load those using the connection, and then we say error loaded word pairs if it fails. And we can say, you can see this Copilot has seen this tutorial, so it is quite good. So I think I have a problem in my cargo. So how? Well, okay, they have it like a lib, so I don't know if that, we don't have it as a library. Can I go here and say cargo run all right, that failed. Maybe if we go okay, let me check something. Okay, I'm actually gonna give up on it now, and later on I will restructure the project. So let's get rid of this because that did not work. So what are we gonna do? I will just put it in here in the main. So let's yank this code, and actually let's not make it in the main, let's make it in like scripts. So this is very temporary, and I don't think we need to make all of these public. So let's get the scripts, and this one will be list word pairs, and we need to use models like that, and use schema, and where's the schema coming from? Do I have to say crate? I do have to say crate, and I also have to use crate database, and this one has to be crate. There is nothing called limit for table, so maybe if we put it here. It's very strange. So they have a filter, but apparently I cannot select directly from the table. And this doesn't help at all. So we also need the prelude to get that one working. Okay, so now it's working. So it's because we needed this thing. All right, so let's do this. And what is this? We don't know what that is. How can we not know what that is? So let's go back in the example, show posts. For whatever reason, all right, so that is our little script here. So let's hook that up in the main function. We are going to say scripts list word pairs, and then we're actually just gonna return, I think we're gonna return, okay, that should work. So let's try to run this, and it still thinks there are multiple binaries, which means now it should be okay. For some reason it still thinks there are multiple binaries, but whatever. Let's try to build it. Let's run it. And is it because... So let's remove the binary folder. So now it ran. So displaying 0 word pairs because we don't have anything in the database, which makes a lot of sense. So now we should make a script to populate the database. So let's say populate database. And where are we going to get the words from? Well, we do have some words here in assets. I think, yeah, words.json. So how can we can do it like that, I suppose. Here we have all the words. And let's see if we can make a nice macro. Shit, okay. So we have to take into consideration that there could be multiple words. I forgot about that. So 2, 3, 4. Then we will go to the comma, do that. What is it saying? Consider specifying the array length. Okay, I will consider that. So, what are we gonna do? Well, I think we should follow this example here. So we need the word pairs, and then for pair, let's say, can we do Spanish and English in word pairs? Iterate over those word pairs, and we need to make a new word pair. Yeah, and there's this interesting thing. They have also this thing. They have a specific type for inserting things. So let's also make that. So it's an insertable. So now we need to use create schema word pairs. And then we make a structure. And we can even make it like that. Okay. All right, so let's go back to scripts, and we're going to use this new word pair, which is in models, so that's great. We don't need to string it. So now we have a new word pair. The connection we can start outside. It's probably fine to do that. And then we should check that there isn't already this this pair existing. So to do that, we need this list thing again. So it's going to be the word pairs, and I think we need this DSL anyway now because we're querying. So now we do need a filter. So we can look for those where the Spanish word is equal to the current Spanish word, and then we find the first one. And they do have an example of that. And we can allow this, we should allow this to be optional. And then we can say, okay, is the result, if it's something, well, okay, if it's something, then we don't actually do anything. If it's none, then we want to insert it. And finally, if there is an error, we will just we'll print that an error occurred. So let us now try to insert it. So we go back into the insert example. There's a create post function, which is up here. Okay, so we can do this insert into. And we insert into this table. The values is the new word pair, sure. And I don't really want that, so I think we can just say execute, maybe on the connection. And then we will say also expect. So I think that should do it. This one takes a connection. And how do we do it here? I suppose when the connection drops, then it kind of finalizes. So let's see here. Constant word pairs is never used. I think it is used right here. So let's go back to the main. And we're going to list the word pairs, then we're going to populate the database, and then we are going to list the word pairs again, and be in between that we're going to say this thing. And let's see if that works. So now there's a bunch of stuff. And it's actually gotten a little bit too much. So I think just for now, I'm going to comment this out and we'll try to run it again, just to check that it doesn't insert things multiple times. So you can see it actually works. So now we have a bunch of stuff in the database, which is great. Now let's try to get the stuff out of the database when we ask for a new word. So here we have a get random word pair from this guy. So how should we set that up? I guess we need to have a look at database. Okay. So get word pair from database. Let's start with that. So we need to return a string, and let's say use create database establish connection, and here we'll say let's get a connection, and then we want to repeat what we had in the script, basically this, and then we want to select a random one. We don't need a limit. I don't think that is something we want. We do need the prelude as well. Cannot find word pairs, so that means we need the schema. As well. Okay, so here we go. So let's get the number of words, let's get a random index, let's get that, and let's return that. So Copilot, very nice. This is how many words there are. We select the random index in that range, and then we get the word pair out, and then we just clone the data in that and return that. So that's very nice. Let's go back to main. Now in here, we are not going to say get a random word pair. We are going to say get random word pair from database. So let's actually check that this stuff works, and we can use the cargo watch thing. So we're waiting. Okay, it's done. And still, we can get a bunch of words, and they're actually correct. So that's pretty good. We have things that we get from a database now. And this one should also be updated. I think I'll spend some time off screen just cleaning this up, restructuring it, as I said, so the scripts can move into their own binaries. And then I'll also get rid of this thing and just like make sure all the warnings are not there anymore. So that's great. So now we can get things from the database. But what if we want to, well, I don't know why it's just stopped working. That's amazing. Okay, so now we're back on action. It was just recompiling or something. What if we want to add a word pair? So let's try to set that up. So let's go into templates. Let's go into words. And this one has the next word pair, and it has the reveal button. Let's actually put those like that. Let's just add another button, and it's gonna be add new word pair. So this one should actually redirect to another page. This should redirect. So maybe we just, I think we can do the following. So you can use an anchor tag like normal. but we can also say add word, and the target is actually the body. And now, if I click this, nothing happens. Nothing happens. And what happens here in the console? Yeah, like this one doesn't even exist, which makes a lot of sense. So let's jump back into main and let's define this this thing. So it was just add word, which doesn't make any sense. Let's call it add word pair, and it's an async function, and we will actually just let's keep that one, and let's say hello. This one can go away. So recompiling. Now if we go here, it still doesn't work because we didn't register it. So you have to remember to register. So now recompiling. And now we have the new page up and running. So it needs a template, and in here we should say page content. And let us now make that template, add word pair, HTML, and let's keep like this one as a reference. So we need to do all this extend stuff. And what do we have in here? We need a form. It's going to be some kind of form element. And there'll be an input of type text. And another input. And that should be it. But then I forget how it works in HTMX. I think we need post, and then we should say add a word pair. So let's actually go to HTMX and let's see if we can have a look. We need the let's check this one out, because this is the one I use for reference for HTMX. So there is this new contact thing. It's going to be similar for us, except we have this word pair thingy. All right, I am going to copy a lot of stuff. We can make a paragraph, and we need a label for Spanish word, and we have an input, and I think that's it for now. Let's do the same one for English. And where is the we can add a back button. I agree with that. But to get this to work optimally, I do think we need to add hx boost equal true here. And there's some kind of field set. So we'll add that. And what's the action? The action should go to add word pair with the post method. And that's it. Back to main. So we already have add word pair, but now we need it with post. So let's see how that works. So we need to get a hold of Actix Web and check out post. Maybe just get started. Okay, it's the same thing. Handlers. Here we have a post example, and we need like some kind of payload thing, it looks like. And what do they try to do? Body extend from slice, chunk. So eventually they try to deserialize it into this object, and then they just send it back for some reason. How about we try this form thing? Because we're actually using a form. So we'll go down here to the post thingy. We need to use this. Then we need to derive that. Seems good to me. Let's call it data. And once we have that, I think right now I just want to print it to see that it works. And we need to add this package. It is only a trait without a derived macro. So that means we need something here. We also need derive feature. All right. Okay, post and expanded. We already know that there's some kind of error, so let's just return a response okay, and let's see if that kind of works. Actually, we need another thing. Which is, okay, I'm pretty sure this is not right, so let's see how they do it here. We have the index, perhaps. And there we have it's just a link. Of course, it should just be a link. So now it doesn't look right, which is amazing. But that's for another time. Okay, so now we have a form where we can enter things, and we can say hola, that means hello. And there is no, where the hell is the submit button? There's no submit button. New. There's just a button called save. Okay, so is what it is. So let's say 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1, and we click save, and nothing happens because we haven't registered it. We have not registered it, and we call it post. Now it says error code 400. Can I get this stuff closed? It's pretty annoying. Now let's take a look. Post. What's the request? The form data is Spanish, English. So I think that's why it failed, because here it's Spanish word, English word. Let's try to get rid of that. And now yeah, because then we have to fix it here. Move that. Amazing. So now it worked. But obviously it didn't do anything, and we should also redirect back. So how do you do redirect? Can we search somehow here? There's no search. There's no redirect. Because I'm pretty sure that's what they do here. So if we look at contacts new, for post, there is like a redirect. So we need to do that as well. But maybe to begin with, we just make something to save it. So we already have here some stuff. So let's copy paste that. And let's say save word pair, and it should take the two strings, and we establish a connection. We make this thing, we insert it, and can we somehow okay, here we should, let's put it to do return a result. But now we'll just unwrap it and panic if it doesn't work. So let's also use models, new word pair. So now we have this function, we can go into main, and we can say save. Do I not already have database? Well, I have. So let's say database, save word pair. We save those two. And this one, let's see, finish, keep alive. But it should be at this level, right? It should be not temporary redirect. I'm not sure it should be permanent redirect, but whatever. Let's try this. Let's see if this works. Replaced with append header, sorry, append header. That takes one argument. And let's try that. So it's trying to recompile, but probably it failed. Recompiling, here we go. Let's try to add a new word. And it failed. It does say adding word pair. There is a response code 404. So this is very weird. Let's try to list the word pairs. So we do have the new one, but the response was wrong. This response was wrong. But I think let's leave it here for now. So at least we can insert new things into the database. And if we go ahead and run it, if we go for long enough, there it was. Now I skipped past it, but it was there, 1, 2, 3, the one we inserted. So I think I'm going to do a lot of cleaning up off screen. And I will also figure out how this to do in the correct way. All right, but that's it. See you in the next one.